Welcome back to building APIs with the Go programming language. So what we want to do now is to move on to actually representing our structs using JSON. Okay, so let's get started with that. How do we encode structs? Okay, so I want to create a new directory. So let me open a terminal. And so we will create a directory named data inside the internal directory. So mkdir internal. Remember, internal is where we keep all our data. And if you recall from the previous series, we had to create structs that would model our data that came from the tables. Okay, so I'm going to create a new directory named data. Right, so that is here. Okay. And then let's create a new file inside that data directory. So I'm going to use the touch command. And the name of my file will be schools. Okay. .go. Okay. So in this schools.go file, we will create our struct that would represent a school. Okay. Again, this is something we have done previously. Okay. So let me just create the file name. Okay, great. So of course, the package will not be main. We're going to create a package named data. And we will import a few things. Specifically, we will import time. Okay, so let's create our struct, name schools, capital letter. Okay, capital S. Okay. And so we want to use this struct to represent a school. So we know a school will have an ID. Okay. And we're going to say type int 64. All right. We're going to have a created at field. As you know, when you add your data to a database table, we tend to use a timestamp. Okay, so in Go, the equivalent is time.time. Of course, we will need a name for our school. It will be of type string. We need to also have a level, right? Maybe it's preschool, maybe it's high school, maybe it's trade school. Okay. So that's a string. And notice I'm using capital letters because I want these fields to be exported. So I want them to be visible by the JSON package. So contact or phone number. Okay. Actually, that's the name of the person who is the contact person. So the phone is actually the right way of doing it. Good. So contact is the person and phone is the phone number. We have email, which of course is also type string. And we have a few others. We have a website. Of course, some of these are optional. Not every school has a website. We have an address, which is of course type string. And of course, we have a mode, meaning do they offer online courses? Do they offer face-to-face? Do they offer blended? So that's what I mean by mode. And since there can be many different modes, I'm going to use a string slice. Okay, since we can have many different values for mode. And final thing I will add is a version, and that will be of size int 32 when we are talking about changes we make to our data. Then we could always change the version. Okay, so the version will be an int 32. Okay, so this is our struct. Okay. Um, oh, okay. Capital E. So it's telling me, all right, field name is unused, right? So I need to export it. So capital E. All right. And so that's something to be mindful of. Okay, so this is our struct. Now let's use this struct in our handlers. Okay, so let me go to CMD and let me go to the schools.go file. Okay, and so what I want to do here is to actually create a struct of the school type and then add some data to it and then have it be parsed or converted to JSON, and then we want to see what that looks like. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so let's come down here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I will create a new instance of the school struct containing the ID we extracted from our URL and some sample data. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So I don't want to display the school ID anymore. Okay. All right. So I will simply create my instance. So let's call that school. Okay. And I will say data dot school. That's the name of my struct. Okay. And it will have ID. Good. And I will add ID to it, which you got from the URL. All right. Create that. We're just going to use time.now. Okay. Name. Oops. Let me name. I'm just going to use a string such as apple tree. Okay, that's the name of our school. Okay. Then of course, let's just put level. On the level, let's say it's high school. Okay. And then let's say the contact is Anna Smith. And we have a phone. Let's see, that phone is 601 4411. Okay. And let's say the address is 14 Apple Street. And let's say the mode, we can have a bunch of them. So this school offers blended. It offers online. Okay, let's say 2. And then let's say version is version 1. Okay, so that's straightforward. We have a struct, right? And so all we need to do now is to actually call our write JSON method to write this this JSON or this struct for us as JSON. So error, okay, all right, is app.write JSON, and then we're going to pass in W. We're going to pass in a status of OK, so HTTP dot status OK. We will pass in our data, which is school, and we don't have any other headers, so we'll just pass in nil. All right. And so let's go ahead and let's write this data out. So if error not equals to nil, then something went wrong. So I'm going to say app.logger.print line. Okay, error. And then of course we need to return some error. So http.error. All right, and then of course we pass in W, and we'll simply type the error message. So the server encountered a problem and could not process your request. Okay. And then of course we know that the message will be of type HTTP that status internal server error. Okay. Okay. And of course that's it. So let's save this and let's proceed to actually get this running. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so let's, all right, so our server is up and running, and so let's open another terminal. Okay, and let's just do a curl to so curl localhost, okay, colon 4000 / v1 / and our handler is, well, schools. Okay, so we need schools, and we just need to put in an ID. Let's just put in 11 for now. Okay. Okay, and so we have our JSON data return. Let's see what this looks like using our browser. So localhost 4000 v1 / schools and / 11 again. Okay, so notice we have our JSON, and one thing you notice, the keys in our struct, okay, since they're all capital, right, capital letters, then you'll notice that the JSON keys also have those same capital letters, right, and then followed by the value. Notice that for the slices, they're listed index 0, index 1, and of course we have version 1. Now another thing to keep in mind, I did not include an email. and I did not include a website. And so as you know by now, structs have default values. And so JSON simply prints the default values. And as you know, the default value for a string is the empty string. And the default value for numbers is 0. Right? And so I can show you that if I decide to come here and I comment this out, no version number. Okay, let's save this. Let's rerun the server. Okay. Now when I refresh, you'll notice that the 1 becomes 0 because 0 is the default value. All right. So that's how we encode structs using JSON. Now there's a few things we want to manage, to change. We want to be able to have the keys printed out the way we want. So for example, if you don't want the keys to start with capital letters, how do we go about doing that? Okay, and so we'll be looking at that going forward. Okay, so obviously keep in mind that we will not be hard coding our data going forward. We will eventually create a database where we will be storing data to and pulling data from. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson.